just want to make the distinction about Zen meditation as opposed to other meditation that you might have heard about or might have done here. Zen has two main well, there's many things about Zen, but silence and stillness. So before I get into that, I see on my screen it says here, the idea of Zen is to catch life as it flows. There's nothing extraordinary or mysterious about Zen. I raise my hand. I take a book from the other side of the desk. I hear the children playing ball outside my window. I see the clouds blown away beyond the neighboring wood. And so Zen, like any other type of meditation, is training our minds to be present, not letting life just blow past us and we don't notice it. So before I forget, I want to also welcome the people who are online. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions or comments, there's a chat box on your screen. Feel free to go ahead and say hi or add any questions or comments. So I've been practicing meditation and Zen for many years. And I've learned through the years, and my practice has evolved. And people come here to the Dharma Bum Temple and they sample different things, and that's kind of what we're about here. You can come to a Zen class, you can do something else. It's all different so that you kind of get the idea of all the different maybe types of Buddhist practice and see what resonates with you. So I was doing a strict Zen practice for a lot of years, and for different reasons I ended up here, and I love my practice here. So what I learned about Zen was silence and stillness. So when you sit in a Zen center, let's say, or you're on a retreat, you're going to be perfectly still, you're not going to move, and you're not going to hear any sounds. So those are going to be the only two things I'm going to duplicate here. I'm going to talk to you about silence and stillness. So I will give you instructions at the beginning of the meditation for what you can do, like how you can sit, how are you going to focus your eyes, what will you do with your hands, what are you going to do when thoughts come up. Meditation, and you probably heard this if you've been here before, doesn't make your mind stop. You're not going to think no thoughts. Your mind's going to do what your mind's going to do, but you're going to learn how to perhaps manage it differently or observe it differently. All right. So here's the Zen thing, right? So you're going to pick a posture. You want to sit up straight. If you're sitting in a chair, it helps sometimes to have a cushion behind your back. If that helps you to sit up straight. It can be help, or if you're on a cushion, be on a cushion. If you have both feet on the floor, that can be more grounding. I'm just going to give you suggestions. I'm not going to say you have to do this, that, the other thing. But we want to cultivate stillness of body. Why might that be important? Why do we want our bodies to be still rather than scratching and moving around? Why would it make a difference? Anybody have a guess? If your body is still, what else might get to be still? Your mind. Exactly. So first thing is you're going to choose a posture that you can maintain for roughly 20 minutes. That's about how long we meditate for. So whether your hands are on your lap, if they're folded like this, or however they are, just be like, okay, can I sit like this for 20 minutes? Yeah, I probably can. Okay, so the next thing, what about your eyes? Some people meditate with their eyes closed. I don't particularly recommend that because that makes me drowsy and makes me want to go to sleep. But some people can only meditate with their eyes closed because that's how they do it. So my caution to you, if you're a closed eye meditator, if you notice yourself nodding off, open your eyes. Okay, that would just be one thing. Traditionally, Zen will teach you to have your eyes slightly open. So like my eyes are just cast down right now. I'm not looking around the room, but I'm aware that a room is here and there are people around me, but I'm not focusing on anything. Okay, so that would be, you just want to pick one. And let's say you start with, a lot of people struggle with eyes partly open and they just can't do it, so they close their eyes. And then you can switch back and forth, whatever works for you. So we want you to be able to succeed, if there is such a thing, in your meditation. So you've got your posture, you're going to commit to it. Now let's say you're sitting here and your nose starts to itch. What happens if you don't scratch it? You're not going to die. It's just something that you could observe. And in the bigger picture, you could observe how attached we are to wanting to be comfortable all the time. Like I have a little itch on my nose. What if I don't scratch it? Well, I could just be with it and see what happens to it. And many people have been surprised when I've taught this class and they've said, yeah, I had an itch on my nose and I could feel myself really wanting to scratch it and I didn't, and you know what happened? It went away. Cool. Sometimes it doesn't, okay? So you want to cultivate stillness. You're going to figure out how your eyes are going to be positioned. Now, what are you going to do when thoughts come up? And let me tell you, thoughts will come up. I did say when thoughts come up, because they will come up. So let's say you're choosing to focus on the sensation of breath in, breath out. Go ahead, everybody, put your hands at the top of your chest. Take a couple of deep breaths and feel that sensation. That's going to be your focal point, the breath. And you feel the chest rising and falling, if that works for you, okay? Some people can sense it better in their nostrils, all right? But your breath can be your anchor, and for many people, that's all they focus on, is the breath. I particularly like to also focus on sounds, because you're in your experience, right? So you're not just breathing, but we are breathing, but we're also possibly hearing sounds. Let's just see if we hear anything now. So it was subtle, but you all heard something, right? So if you want to go with breath and sounds, if you would like to try what's called 3-point awareness practice, 3-point meditation, you can also do bodily sensations. So it might be like this for me. Breath in, breath out, I'm hearing sounds, and I'm feeling my hands on my lap, okay? I try, personally, from my own practice, not to be saying too many things to myself. So for me, rather than say to myself, breath in, breath out, I might just feel the sensation. Just hear the sound. Just feel my hands. Okay? Now, thoughts are going to come up. I'll get there. So what are you going to do when you notice a thought? You just notice it and come back to your focal point. You are going to have thoughts, okay? Again, what we're trying to do is train our minds to be still, to be present. Many people come to meditation because they want to get more chill, more relaxed, more whatever. Sometimes you'll feel better after your meditation. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes your mind will just be racing the whole time. You keep trying to pull it back and trying to pull it back and trying to pull it back. And that's the best that you can do. And that was a successful meditation. There's no unsuccessful meditation. So whatever you come up with is what you come up with. I want to mention one more thing before we get started. You may notice as you're breathing, let's say you're just following your breath and noticing a thought that comes up. I would say gently push it away, like a cloud or a puff of something. Just push it away. Don't shove it out of your way. You might notice. You might notice the type of thought it is. It might be like, oh God, this is so boring. I hate this. Oh, there I go judging again. So there's a little insight, judging. And you can ask yourself later, do I judge in my general life off the meditation seat? Probably do. What you're going to learn from this process is how your mind operates. And then you can make some changes. The meditation will give you that kind of like a blank place that you can see yourself on. Okay? All right, so other Zen things, at the beginning I rang the bell and we did a little bow. You can do that or not, that's a Zen thing, okay? I'll start the meditation with 3 bells. I will end it with 3 bells, and usually at the end I'll do a little bow. Feel free to join me in that if you do, or if you don't want to, that's fine. It's just a tradition. I'm sure you've probably seen it here, okay? All right, so we're gonna meditate for roughly 20 minutes. I'll ring the bell again, and I invite you to try not to be shy. Give us some feedback. We can all learn from each other. What your experience was like. What worked for you, what didn't. And then we'll have a little discussion about some other things. We'll meditate a little. And then before you know it, an hour will be up. Okay? All right, so everybody get into your posture that you're going to commit to. You got to scratch your nose to it now.
it's air conditioning.
The air conditioning,
or whatever it is, and they're putting
Uh-huh. Yeah. Cool.
smooth sound.
Sometimes focusing on or just noticing a sound may help you to realize, oh man, I was just daydreaming for the past 15 minutes. So even if the sound isn't the focus of your meditation, let's say it's your breath, and suddenly you hear an airplane go by, you're like, oh, I was not meditating. Okay, so that can be a good thing. Who was meditating with eyes closed? Any of you have a hard time staying awake? You did? Okay. So when you noticed you were having a hard time staying awake, did you change anything?
Slightly open the eyes, very slightly, until some light was seeping in, and took some heavier breaths of it.
Good. Yeah, so all is not lost if you are dozing off. It just might mean that you're tired. It's also kind of warm in here. So it's quiet, no one's saying anything, it's warm, it's comfortable. What do we naturally want to do? Go to sleep. So, but that's why we committed to 20 minutes of being in a certain posture, not moving. Did anybody have trouble with the staying still part? Did anybody feel like fidgeting? I didn't see one person fidget, so if you did, I missed it. Yeah, you were fidgeting?
Well, yeah, I think just like taking deep breaths.
Okay.
Putting my shoulder to move.
Yeah.
But I definitely wanted to.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And that's just normal, that's just natural. Okay. Did anybody have an itch that they desperately wanted to scratch and made themselves not scratch it? How did that go for you?
It went away.
It went away. Yeah, that's the thing. You can go away. Yeah. I've told the story a couple times. At one time I was in a silent retreat and I had a tickle in my throat. And it was very strict silence. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to clear my throat. And it was just, I could feel this intense itching and I felt tears running down my face. And eventually it all stopped. And it was really interesting because I related this experience, I think it was last week, and someone said, what did you learn from that? Why did you do that? And I said, I learned that I didn't have to give in to my impulse. I could just be uncomfortable. I think particularly in our society as Americans, we always want to be comfortable, So could I be uncomfortable and live through it? Yeah, I could. Now that's a little extreme, but it was an experiment, right? So who had a hard time with thoughts? A lot of thoughts coming up. It's really normal. That's what our minds do. I particularly didn't talk about counting your breaths tonight. I've talked about that before, and I'm going to tell you later why I didn't. You can use that as a method to okay, breath in, breath out 1, breath in, breath out 2, but it can create a little bit of tension. Okay, I'm determined to get to 10, and you can find that you're struggling. Don't need to do that, okay? So I just want to say that. So again, with Zen, as opposed to other meditations you may have come to here, I wasn't reminding you, follow your breath in, breath out, where's your mind? None of that was happening, okay? So it kind of is all up to you, as it is even if you are getting that instruction. No one but you knows if you're just hanging out daydreaming. And if you are, and daydreaming and thinking can be very seductive because that's what our brains do. They want to think, they want to plan, they want to go over some story that something happened earlier. And you can notice that you're doing it and be like, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this right now, but I kind of want to keep doing it. And there can be another insight. Do I do that in other ways? Am I maybe not totally honest when I'm supposed to be doing something? Could I be doing something else or not giving it my full attention? So again, with meditation, Zen or otherwise, we're in our experience. We're paying it. So what's happening when we're meditating? We're breathing, hearing sounds. We might be feeling sensations if we're paying attention to them, and we're noticing thoughts. That's all that's happening. And the more attention we give to the thoughts, the less we are paying attention in the rest of our experience. So this is, again, just kind of training you to be present. And as I said earlier, many people come to meditation because they want to feel calmer. They want to feel more grounded. Did anyone have the opposite experience? Did anyone feel like, oh my God, when is she going to ring the bell? Why is this taking so long? Did anyone have that experience? And it's fine if you did. That was your experience. And so just notice that. And you could think about that and think, what would I call that? Impatience? Am I impatient in other ways in my life? Yeah, probably. You can learn a lot about yourself from observing your thoughts. So again, we're not pushing the thoughts away, not paying any attention to them. I mean, just notice them a little bit because you could use that information for later. That makes sense? Anybody have any questions or comments before we go on to the next thing? Yeah, Meredith.
I just wanted to make a comment about that, thinking about, oh my God, when's the bell gonna ring thing. So when I first started meditating, I used to have that experience.
Yeah.
And letting go of knowing what time it was, or how much time had passed, helped me get past having those thoughts. And if the thought of how long have I been doing this came into my head, I would just remind myself that it wasn't my job to keep track of the time. And I relinquish that to the person who's ringing the bell. And then when I got used to the idea that I didn't have to worry about what time it was, then those thoughts stopped completely.
Right. But it didn't happen right away. It was a process, right?
Yeah,
right.
a little bit. But
Right.
you have to be aware of the fact that what you're giving up is control.
Right. That's a good reflection. And you will notice, and I'm sure you've heard it before, not just from me, do a daily meditation practice. Get your mind in the habit of focusing on what's happening now. When you're meditating, what's happening? You're breathing, you're hearing sounds, you're feeling sensations. That's all that's happening. And so you will reap the benefits of that later on down the road. Some people sooner, some people later. And sometimes meditation is hard at first and easy later. You may find that as you go on and do this, it's easy in the beginning. I've heard people, when I've talked about count your breaths, I bet nobody could get it to 10. And I've had several people say, oh yeah, I got to 10, no problem. I'm like, yeah, did you really though? You know, to keep yourself focused on 10 breaths in a row, it doesn't sound like it would be hard, but it's hard, you know. But we don't have to add to it by saying to ourselves, this is hard, this practice is hard. It's different for us until it isn't, until we get used to it. I'm sure you've heard in this room before, does everybody here brush their teeth? Is it hard for you to remember to do it? No, you just do it. After a while, it gets to be a habit, and your meditation practice can be a habit too. So another example is if you only come here, let's say on Monday and Tuesday and Saturday, you'll get some benefit out of it. If you only brush your teeth on Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday, how are your teeth going to be? Probably not that great. So it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It's just kind of one of those things that you just do it. That makes sense?
Yes.
So in the beginning, if you can sit for 5 minutes, sit for 5 minutes. Maybe then you can get to 10. You know, then we get in the thing of, like Meredith was saying, well, you know, who's going to be in charge of the time? How do I know when the time is up? You can set a timer on your phone and then put the phone down so you're not wanting to look at it and say, oh, I've only been meditating for 2 minutes. Oh, you know, just put it down and give up control. So just try to get in the habit if you possibly can. It will benefit your life. Anybody doubt that? You can doubt it, but check it out. Okay. Before we get to the second meditation, I wanted to share with you some information I got from an article from Tricycle magazine. Has anyone ever heard of Tricycle magazine? It's a Buddhist journal, and it's from all different sorts of Buddhism, kind of like the Dharma Temple is. And this was an article, and I'll just read some highlights. This was written by a monk who was at a monastery, and he was 1 month into a 3-month retreat. So if you think 20 minutes in silence is a long time, just think about 3 months, you know. We don't ever have to go there, but people do that, okay? So the name of the article is Lighten Up. And so what he says is during my third of our annual winter retreat, so this is only the third time he's done it, he's kind of a new monk. About a month into it, a question popped into my mind as I sat meditating. Why should this be difficult? I mean, I'm just sitting here with my eyes closed. Why should this be difficult? So think about that. What do we add to our meditation? Oh, this is hard, this is going to be difficult, this is normal. I've had people say, oh, this isn't normal just to sit in silence and watch your breath. Well, what do we add to the experience to make it more difficult? So he talks further about his first years at the monastery, where things come up, and I'm sure you can all relate to some of these. Boredom, frustration, feeling dull, feeling impatient, all of those things. Now this man has been meditating for, he's on his third year, so these things still come up for him, okay? That's all normal. Okay. Did you have your hand up? No. Okay. So his answer is, it's difficult because you want your mind to be other than it is. So we come to meditation, we want our minds to be still, we want to be peaceful, we don't want to have a lot of thoughts. Well, guess what? Our minds are going to be how they are. And we can only do what we can do. We have some tools. We can follow our breath. We can listen to sounds. We can do whatever we can do, but we don't need to struggle. We don't want to have the thought of, I just can't do this. It has been said that we meditate because we're dissatisfied with our minds. So how many of you have thought or have said, I can't meditate. My mind is racing all the time. I just can't do it. Anybody ever had that experience ever? I certainly have, And so, okay, so that's my mind. We don't have to judge it. We don't have to think that we're bad people, we're bad meditators. That's just our experience of our mind. Some of us come to meditation because we think it will alleviate our anxiety, our stress, our disappointment, our distractions, our perplexity. So we may look at meditation as a way to fix all of our problems. And I'm sure you've heard in here before, meditation's not going to do that. Meditation is going to make your mind, is going to help your mind settle so that you can then see how you can make some changes if you want to. So it's not the thing. It's not going to be just like, I'm just going to come here on Tuesday and Saturday and everything's going to be great. It'll be a little better, but it's like if you brush your teeth twice a week, again, how good are your teeth going to be? Kind of depends on your goal. Do you want to have like only a few teeth left in your mouth, or you want to have a whole mouthful? Do you want to have a calm and peaceful present life? It's just kind of like, what's your intention? Okay. Okay. What else did he say in here? We soon discover that meditation brings no quick end to our suffering. We may judge our meditation, and you may have heard this in here before. Don't judge your meditation. We want our meditations to be better. We want to be able to get to 10 if we're counting our breaths. We want our minds to be still the whole time. It either will or it won't be. However it is, the bell rings, you just meditated. That's all there has to be to that. So don't get attached to wanting your mind to be other than it is. So we want to let go of the suffering that we add to meditation by expecting it to be some kind of way. It's going to be how it is, okay? And in the bigger picture, as your mind settles and you get more grounded and centered, that's how life is. Life is how it's going to be. And we struggle against it. We want it to be some other kind of a way. You see how that all lines up. So we're in here practicing for our minds to be present with life as it is, with this breath, with this sound, with this sensation, with this feeling of restlessness, with this feeling of boredom. I'm just here, I'm just present to it. Does that make sense? Okay. Any comments about that? Okay. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. It's, if you ever have a chance to read any articles, you can sometimes learn a lot, but people will say, oh, should I read this book or that book? And And reading is good, but the practical wisdom that you get from watching your thoughts, being present in your life, it's hard to beat. It's a good combination though. So I would encourage you, if you like the silent stillness of Zen, where after I stop talking, I'm not going to talk till the bell rings. You're not going to have reminders of what you should be doing. Just remember, pick your meditation, point your focus, your breath, maybe your sounds, how your eyes going to be, how are your hands going to be. What are you going to do when your thoughts come up? You going to grab onto it and run with it for a while? You might. Are you going to just notice it's there and be like, oh yeah, right now I'm supposed to be meditating. Okay, let's get back there. Sometimes I'll say to myself, when I notice my mind is going on and on, come back. That's all you have to say. Just gently, just come back. Okay? So those are some ideas. Okay, so we'll meditate a little bit more, and then we're going to be done before you know it. Okay? So pick your posture. What can you commit to without wiggling and squiggling around? Figure out how you want your hands to be, how you're going to have your eyes. If having your eyes closed was problematic because you were just dozing off, see if you can try having your eyes partially open. Okay. there was a question on my screen where the person asked, how do I watch my thoughts? So perhaps watch isn't the correct word. Perhaps just notice your thoughts. So example, you're breathing, you're watching your breath, you're hearing the sounds, and a thought comes up. God, I hate this. This is so boring. Why did I come here in the first place? That would be following your thoughts, as opposed to, God, I hate this. Just notice that thought and just let it go. Does that make sense? Okay, because we want to follow them. That's what we're used to doing. Okay. Did anyone find the second meditation easier to do than the first one? You did. Did anyone notice it was quite a bit shorter? Yeah, sometimes that makes it easier. Yeah. And you never know, like Meredith said, you don't know when the bell's going to ring. So like, just give that up. It's going to ring when it rings. So, did anyone have a harder time staying awake? Because it's getting later, it's warm, you're comfortable. Everybody did okay with that? Yeah. Anybody have an itch that they wanted to scratch? You didn't do it? No? Okay, good. So I thank you for your participation and for coming here. Again, if you like the silent still meditation that is Zen, you can come here in the mornings at 8 o'clock. There's 2 sittings, 25 minutes each. You can come at noon, 2 sittings, 25 minutes each, and that's Monday through Friday. You can practice it. Some people find it's difficult without reminders, without someone saying, where's your mind? Follow your breath in, breath out. So whatever works for you, do that. Some people like to come here to meditate as opposed to trying to meditate at home for whatever reason. It's a great atmosphere to meditate, and you may notice a difference when you're meditating with other people. I seem to. Okay, so let's join palms for transfer of merit. May the benefit of this practice be transmitted to all beings in all directions. May any merit gained from this practice be transmitted to those who need it most. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Again, I thank you, and before everyone leaves, Meredith, our host, is in the back, our Dharma Bum host for tonight, and she has a few announcements.
Hi everyone, tonight's host Meredith. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 17 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and then bring it back whenever you're done with it. If you could please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out, that would be very helpful. Thank you for being here. We wish you well, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.